John, Jimmy Bell was speaking to us after the victory on Tuesday night and said there was no point trying to downplay the importance of the remaining two games, particularly Cambridge at home on Saturday. That win at Bolton has given you a chance. How important is it that you follow it up and take that chance?
Well, I think we had a little spell during the season where we won 3 on the spin. I don't think we've done that. I don't think we've won 2 on the spin since then. I don't think so. It'll be much needed if we can. And you're right, it's just a chance. It's give us a chance. Possibly might have been a little bit more in our own hands if we'd have got something against Portsmouth, but we didn't. There's no point looking backwards at it. But we're still going to have to hope that other teams slip up. And that's not to downplay the importance of the game Saturday, because it is. It's huge. And since we've been here, it's probably going to be the most important home game we've played. And we've got to get back to making it the way we play an uncomfortable place to come to. I've heard a lot of people saying, "Oh well, the pitch is lovely, the changing rooms are lovely. It's not the intimidating place it was." It's not the intimidating place it was because we're not playing anywhere near like the football that we usually play. And when we play the football like we usually play, we pin teams in, we make it uncomfortable for them. The crowds get really raucous behind us, and it's a splendid cocktail to dominate games and win games. And we haven't played like that this season. So there's no point saying it's because the ground's changed. It hasn't. It's because we've changed. And we've got to get back to what I know we can play like. And that's easier said than done, because Cambridge will be coming into this game thinking it's as equally as important to them as it is to us. So, it's two teams who probably will feel that a draw isn't good enough for either of us. So it should be an attacking game. That's one thing I will think it will be. So we've got to try and find a way to come out on top.
The game on Tuesday, Jimmy said afterwards that you've been emphasising to the players how important it was and that something needed to happen, but that he felt the penny dropped on Tuesday night. I suppose it's better late than never, but how do you maintain that?
Well, that's what I was saying about we haven't put back-to-back wins together. When you've worked so hard for something and you get the reward, it makes you want to do it again. Put a lot of effort into that game. Running stats were very high, which what they should be. And I think that was the best we've followed a game plan this season. A lot of our game plans are going out the window because we concede in the first 10 minutes. And so anything that you've planned, you're quickly having to rip it up and go for plan B or plan C. And in the past, we've always tried to maintain what we're trying to do is right. So that's why, hence, you don't make as many substitutions as what people think you should. But the players know the importance. I think they've known all season. And we're still in an opportunity. We've got an opportunity to get out of it. Again, as I've said, but possibly relying on other things. But if we show that same effort, it's difficult to criticise. And in the main, we've shown some great spirit this season, but just let ourselves down about 4 or 5 games where you think, what's going on? It's not us. And sometimes the manager is frustrating because you can't put your finger on why it's happening, and you'd have 6 or 7 players have an off day on one afternoon, and they don't go out to do it deliberately, but just things transpire in games, and things can sometimes work against us as much as things can work for you, and then you've got to have that little bit of luck, and luck has deserted us this year.
Are you going to have to win both games?
I think so, yeah. And that mightn't be enough. So You know, all you can do is try and do our job. What you wouldn't you'd hate to happen is you don't do your job and then other teams don't do the jobs. And they stay up and you don't. So we've got to give it everything we've got.
It's been a long time since there's been home supporters in that Coppice end of the ground just over your shoulder. That's being opened up for home fans for this game. Just how much of a part do the Accrington supporters and I guess the people of Accrington and Hyndburn and East Lancashire have to play in this?
Oh, it'll be massive, the contribution they'll play. But they do it every week, to be fair to them. So, you know, you can't knock the Clayton end. Clayton end have been fantastic through thick and thin. The away support is fantastic through thick and thin. But to be kicking both ends into your fans for both halves, I think it's got to help you. Possibly won't make as much noise because it's not covered that end, but I don't think it'll be for the want of time.
You've had some huge games and some huge occasions for various reasons over a long period of time. You said before it might be the biggest. That's a big claim with all the things you've achieved here.
It is, but I suppose it's like your next meal, isn't it? You know, you're always looking for the job in hand. One of the biggest games we had here was the Macclesfield game. When that was the one that we couldn't afford to lose. And we were 2-0 down. John Miles, you know. And we managed to come back with Prochy and Robbie Williams. And this feels like that game, to be fair.
Do you can talk about that with us and remember it like it was yesterday, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Do you talk about those moments in your career with the players, or does it become a little bit like all our yesterdays and it's all about the now?
It is all about the now. You can remind them, but some of them won't have experienced that. I'm trying to remember whether Sean was with us now. I don't think he was. I remember Danny Venti putting a Budweiser box on my head when I was getting interviewed by ITV. You've got to use your past experiences. You know, that's something that you can draw upon. And it revolves around positive thinking, I think. Or I know. You know, you've got to go into the game in a positive frame of mind. And you've got to believe that your game plan's going to work and the players have got to buy into what we're doing. And when players buy into it and you sort of give them part ownership of it, they're more likely to try and make it work. And so that's what we'll be doing the next couple of days.
And when they cross the white line, do you delegate that to those leaders you've got in that changing room?
Yeah, you like to think so. I mean, you've seen the influence Seamus had when he come back the other day. No, that's not a fluke. You know, you've either got that persona about you and that aura about you on the pitch, or you haven't. And Seamus has had it, and we've had unbelievable service of Seamus. And I know how much he cares about this club. And that shows. And that showed the other night. You know, he could barely breathe, and I've asked him to play another 5 minutes for me. And he got through it, you know, so that's testament to the person Seamus is, as well as the football.
Do you think he'll go on to be a coach and a manager? Do you see that in him?
I hope so. I always used to laugh and joke when he never played head tennis, but he said I'm not paid to do that. I hope so. I think he's got a lot to offer again.
And excuse me, just as far as this actual occasion is concerned, Cambridge have got more points to play for because they've still got a game in hand. Is there more pressure on you than them this weekend?
I wouldn't know, because I know the pressure that we're under. So I couldn't really comment on what they're feeling. It's difficult for me because I put that much pressure on myself that I don't particularly feel external pressure, because I've always put pressure on myself at being a player or as a manager for my own standards. So that's enough. And it's like when people say 110%. You know, you can only I want to win every game, whether it's a game of cards, whether it's a game of tennis. It's a game of golf, anything. I want to win every time I play anything. And I'm wise enough to know that I don't always win, and I can enjoy the taking part. It's difficult to enjoy the taking part when you know what the prizes are and you know that it's your livelihood. So that desire's still got to be in there. That drive's got to, that will to win's got to be in there, and we've got to transmit that to the players. You can say, well, you're putting too much pressure on them, you know, and they can clam up, and some players do. Some players do freeze on the occasions. But I've always maintained that you keep an eye on the prize. You know, when we were going from, I know, keep going back to the promotion days. But when we were going for the league, you know, you have people say, "Oh, don't mention the P words, don't mention." Why? That's your main objective. Keep it in your mind every day. Speak about it every day. You know, if you've got a clear objective and a goal to strive for, I'd want to keep looking at it, mate. Keep an eye on the prize.
Is the prospect of relegation with you every day then?
Oh, without a doubt. And that has been probably since mid-October. And this won't be the first season it's been like this, you know, so it's probably the worst situation we've got ourselves into since I've been at the club. Me and Jimmy have been at the club well, maybe that Macclesfield game, that was on par with this. So it's going to be difficult. And whatever way you dress it up, at the start of the season, 4 teams have to go down. I don't particularly agree with that. Like, I think it should be standard across the board, 3-3, even including the conference. But it's not. And you know when you go into the league, so there's no point bleating about that now. But 4 teams have to go down, and it's going to be 4 good teams go down. You know, already a well-run club, financially well off. In Forest Green have already gone, and another 3 are going to have to go with them. You know, good clubs. We don't want to be one of them, but it's a reality that you're going to be fighting round this end while there's big clubs in there, because you just can't compete with them. You can't compete with them. You can compete with them on one-offs, but you can't compete with them over the season, because their resources dwarf you. And so if you look at Bolton the other day, and they used 5 forwards, every single one of them will be on at least double our top paid player. So every single one of their 5 forwards will be on at least double, probably triple. So how do you compete with that when they've got 5 players at that ilk and a couple injured as well? So that's what you're up against, and not just Bolton. Obviously, there's Sheffield Wednesdays, your Ipswiches, your Derbys, you know, and then Portsmouth's still a big club. So Charlton, you could go on and on. And they've got bigger resources than you. But that doesn't mean that you throw the towel in every week. You give it a good go, and in the main we've done great. Competing. You're going to have a year where things don't go your way, but we're still in there. And I think Seamus alluded to it last week. It'd be a wonderful achievement if we can get out of it and rebuild for next year.
Yeah, what would it mean to you?
Well, it'd be the biggest moment of my career. That's for sure. And I think people who know the game, who know the way this club's run, will know the difficulties we've come up against this season. And if this group of players can get over the line, it'll be a great achievement for them.